Earth's first meeting with the Taraxian Galactic Empire didn't go as planned. The massive Imperial ship had appeared in orbit without warning, its hull gleaming like polished obsidian against Earth's blue atmosphere. Within hours, representatives from all major nations gathered at the United Nations headquarters in New York to prepare for humanity's first alien encounter. William Hayes adjusted his tie nervously as he stood with the Earth delegation. As the Secretary General's special envoy, he'd been chosen to speak for all humanity, not that he'd had time to prepare a proper speech. "Remember," said General Samantha Powell, standing beside him, "we represent Earth with dignity, no matter what they look like or how they act." The Imperial delegation materialized in the center of the assembly hall without using the doors. 7 tall, blue-skinned humanoids wearing elaborate metallic garments stood in formation. Their leader stepped forward, an imperious figure with ridged skin and eyes that seemed to change color as he moved. "I am High Commander Velter of the Taraxian Empire," he announced, his voice somehow perfectly understandable despite his alien mouth. "We claim this solar system for the glory of Emperor Zorax Vivi." Hayes stepped forward. "We welcome you to Earth, High Commander. I'm William Hayes, representing the United Nations and all peoples of Earth. We're eager to establish peaceful relations with your civilization." Velter barely glanced at Hayes. "Your primitive world has been assessed and categorized as a Class 3 development zone. You will accept Imperial governance and resource quotas effective immediately." Murmurs spread through the human delegation. Hayes maintained his diplomatic smile despite the insult. "Perhaps there's been a misunderstanding. Earth is a sovereign planet with independent nations. We're happy to discuss trade and cultural exchange, but we don't accept external governance." The alien commander's eyes flashed red. "Acceptance is not required. The Empire spans 12,000 worlds. Your compliance is assumed." He activated a device on his wrist, projecting a holographic document. "These are your resource tribute requirements. Mining operations will begin within your lunar orbit tomorrow." General Powell stepped forward. "Our moon is under Earth protection. Any unauthorized mining would be considered an act of aggression." For the first time, Velter seemed to notice her. "Your primitive weapons are known to us. They pose no threat to Imperial technology." Over the next hour, the situation deteriorated. The Imperial delegation made increasingly demanding pronouncements, while dismissing all human concerns. They spoke of processing centers to be established in major cities and population assessments to determine Earth's value to the Empire. When Hayes attempted to explain that humans wouldn't accept alien rule, Velter actually laughed. "Every species says this initially. All eventually understand their place." After the Imperial delegation departed, promising to return the next day with implementation protocols, Earth's leaders gathered in emergency session. "They see us as primitives to be exploited," President Garcia said. "Their technology is clearly advanced, but their ethics are medieval." Prime Minister Chen nodded grimly. "They expect complete submission. We cannot allow it." For once, nations that typically disagreed found common ground. Within hours, a unified response was drafted. Earth would not accept Imperial rule, regardless of technological differences. Admiral Lisa Morgan presented the military situation bluntly. "Our combined fleet is small compared to what they showed us. If they attack with full force, we cannot win conventionally." "Then we don't fight conventionally," said Dr. Alan West, Director of Earth Defense Research. "We have technologies they may not expect, and they clearly underestimate us." As the meeting concluded, Hayes looked at the satellite imagery of the Imperial ship hovering above Earth. "We need to make them understand that some primitives bite back." The next day, Earth delivered its response to the Empire. All Imperial personnel and vessels were forbidden from entering Earth space without explicit permission. The Taraxian representatives were shocked. No world had ever rejected Imperial authority. The Galactic Empire had just encountered something new. human defiance. Jack Reynolds stood before the United Earth Council as they finalized the most important document in human history. Representatives from every nation filled the chamber, their faces grim but determined. "The final text of the Forbidden Entry Decree is ready for your approval," said Council President Maria Ortiz. "This will be our formal response to the Empire's demands." After unanimous approval, Reynolds accepted the digital document. As Earth's chief diplomat, he would deliver their message directly to the Imperial representatives. "Good luck, Jack," said William Hayes, squeezing his shoulder. "Make it clear this isn't negotiable." Reynolds nodded. They need to understand that Earth speaks with one voice on this. The Taraxian delegation had established a temporary base in neutral orbit. When Reynolds' shuttle approached, massive Imperial gunships tracked its movement, weapons systems visibly active. Inside the meeting chamber, High Commander Velter and 6 Imperial officials waited. Their body language suggested they expected simple acceptance of their terms. "Diplomat Reynolds," Velter said with thinly veiled impatience, "we expected your leaders to send implementation protocols, not more discussion." Reynolds stood straight, aware that his next words would likely change human history forever. "I bring the unified response of Earth." He activated the document, which displayed in holographic form, both in Earth languages and the Imperial standard they had provided. "The United Earth Council hereby declares that the Taraxian Galactic Empire and all its representatives are forbidden from entering Earth space without explicit permission. Earth claims full sovereignty over our solar system to its outermost boundaries. Any unauthorized entry will be considered an act of war." Velter's skin darkened in what Reynolds assumed was anger or shock. "This is unprecedented. No world refuses Imperial protection." "Earth does," Reynolds replied simply. "We reject your claim on our world and resources." "You cannot comprehend the consequences," another Imperial official hissed. "The Empire spans 12,000 worlds. Your defiance is meaningless." Reynolds maintained his composure. "Whether we're one world or 12,000 is irrelevant. Earth will not surrender its freedom." News of Earth's declaration spread across Imperial communication channels with astonishing speed. Within hours, the story had reached Imperial worlds throughout the galaxy. A single technologically limited planet had formally rejected the Empire's authority, something that hadn't happened in over 3,000 years. On Earth, Olivia Martinez worked frantically in her laboratory beneath the Atacama Desert. Her team had discovered unusual properties in Earth's magnetosphere that could potentially be weaponized as a defensive system. "The energy conversion is stable," she told her colleague Ben Wilson. "If we can amplify it through the satellite network, we might create a barrier that their ships can't penetrate." "Will it be ready in time?" Ben asked, glancing at the countdown timer showing expected Imperial response. Martinez wiped sweat from her forehead. "It has to be." On the Imperial throne world, Emperor Zorax VI received the report of Earth's defiance with cold fury. The massive Emperor, whose cybernetically enhanced body required a special gravity field, leaned forward on his crystal throne. "A primitive world dares to forbid us entry," he asked his advisors. Grand Admiral Krell bowed low. "The humans appear unusually united in this foolish stance, Your Eminence. They seem unaware of the consequences." "Then they must be educated," the Emperor declared. "Dispatch the 4th Education Fleet. Show them what happens to worlds that defy Imperial will." Back on Earth, Reynolds delivered his report to the United Earth Council. "The Imperial representatives were shocked by our declaration," he said. "I believe they've never encountered a unified refusal before." President Ortiz nodded grimly. "Then we've gotten their attention. Admiral Morgan, what's the status of our defenses?" Admiral Lisa Morgan stepped forward. "All Earth forces are on highest alert. Our fleet is positioned defensively. And Dr. Martinez reports Project Barrier is nearly operational." As they spoke, long-range sensors detected multiple Imperial ships entering the outer solar system. The Empire's response had begun. Captain Eric Nelson stood on the bridge of the scout ship Horizon, watching the Imperial fleet's approach on the main view screen. His vessel, hidden behind Pluto's moon Charon, was one of dozens monitoring the enemy's advance. "Count now at 73 warships," reported Lieutenant Amy Foster. "Largest vessels estimated at 3 kilometers in length." "Keep recording everything," Nelson ordered. "Earth needs to know exactly what we're facing." The Imperial Armada moved with precision, their massive ships arranged in a formation that reminded Nelson of ancient Roman legions, orderly, disciplined, and overwhelming. Their hulls gleamed with a metallic blue sheen that seemed to absorb rather than reflect light from the distant sun. On the lead vessel, Imperial Commander Krull Thorne studied the primitive human solar system with disdain. As commander of the first pacification fleet, he had brought dozens of worlds into Imperial control. These Earth humans would be no different. "Scans detect primitive defense vessels near the outer planets," reported his subordinate. "Shall we eliminate them?" Krull Thorne waved a dismissive hand. "Waste no energy. They pose no threat, and will serve as witnesses to our power." The Imperial fleet advanced steadily toward Earth, encountering no resistance. This reinforced Krull Thorne's belief that the humans' defiance was merely posturing. All species attempted some show of resistance before accepting inevitable Imperial rule. Back on Earth, Olivia Martinez hadn't slept in 3 days. Her team had successfully linked Earth's satellite network to her magnetosphere amplifiers, creating what she hoped would be an effective defensive barrier. "The final calibrations are complete," she told Admiral Morgan in the underground command center. "But we have only one chance at this. If it fails—" Morgan nodded grimly. "If it fails, we fight with everything we have left." President Ortiz addressed the worldwide broadcast. "Citizens of Earth, the Imperial fleet approaches Mars orbit. All emergency protocols are now active. Take shelter as directed by local authorities." The Imperial fleet passed Mars, destroying the small research outposts there as a demonstration of power. Commander Krull Thorne opened a communication channel to Earth. "Primitive humans, your defiance ends now. Witness the futility of resistance." His image broadcast on screens worldwide. Alien features twisted in smug confidence. "Lower your planetary defenses and prepare to receive Imperial governors." Admiral Morgan gave the signal. "Activate Project Barrier." Martinez pressed her hand against the biometric scanner. Around Earth, thousands of satellites simultaneously changed position, focusing energy toward the upper atmosphere. The planet's natural magnetosphere began to glow faintly, energy levels rising rapidly. Aboard the Imperial command ship, alarms suddenly blared. "Unknown energy signatures surrounding the planet," an officer reported urgently. "It's expanding rapidly." Krull Thorne sneered. "Some primitive attempt at defense. Continue advance." The lead Imperial vessels pushed forward, directly into the invisible barrier. What happened next shocked both sides. The front section of 3 Imperial warships simply disappeared, cleanly sliced away as if cut by an impossibly sharp blade. Secondary explosions rippled through the damaged vessels as their propulsion systems failed catastrophically. "Full stop," Krull Thorne roared, his composure shattered. "All vessels hold position." The barrier had formed a perfect sphere around Earth's entire solar system, its edge precisely at Mars orbit. Imperial scanners could not penetrate it, and weapons fire dissipated harmlessly against its surface. On the horizon, Captain Nelson watched with astonished joy. It worked. By God, it actually worked. Back in the command center, Martinez collapsed into her chair in exhaustion and relief. "The barrier is stable. Their weapons can't penetrate it, and any physical objects trying to pass through will be disrupted." Admiral Morgan allowed herself a small smile. "Send word to all Earth forces. Operation Barrier is successful." On his flagship, Commander Krull Thorne faced an unprecedented situation. For the first time in his career, he sent a message to Imperial Command that contained words never before used regarding a planetary conquest. "Advance halted. Request new instructions." The Empire had encountered something they never expected from primitive humans: effective resistance. Natalie Foster stepped onto the alien world of Proxima Centauri II, becoming the first human to visit a planet outside Earth's solar system. Her diplomatic vessel had slipped through Earth's barrier using Martinez's specially designed frequency modulator, then made the journey using experimental faster-than-light technology. "Remember," said her aide Frank Wilson, "the Centaurians have been under Imperial control for nearly 2 centuries. They may not welcome us." Foster nodded. "But according to our intelligence, they're not happy about it either." The Centaurians were tall, graceful beings with iridescent skin that shifted colors with their emotions. Their delegation approached cautiously, their skin patterns displaying what Foster's cultural briefing had identified as anxiety and curiosity. "We risk much by meeting with you," said Elder Zeltar, the Centaurian leader. "The Empire punishes contact with forbidden species." "Yet you agreed to meet," Foster replied, "because you want something to change." The Elder's skin flashed deep blue. Confirmation. "How has Earth resisted?" "The Empire conquers all." Foster explained Earth's barrier technology and their unified stand against Imperial control. As she spoke, the Centaurians' colors shifted to patterns indicating increasing interest. "We were once like you," Zeltar said finally. "We fought, but alone. The Empire isolated us from potential allies, then overwhelmed us world by world. That's why I'm here," Foster said. "Earth believes we must unite with other worlds. The Empire is strong because it keeps subject planets divided." After hours of discussion, the Centaurians made their decision. "We will join your resistance," Zeltar announced, "and we can help you contact the Regelians and the Tausetians. They too chafe under Imperial rule." Meanwhile, Admiral Morgan led Earth's counteroffensive. While the barrier protected Earth, it couldn't shield humanity forever. They needed to strike back. "Our target is their communications hub in the Kuiper Belt," Morgan told her strike team. "The Empire established it before our barrier went up. If we capture it intact, we'll gain access to their entire communication network." Her team of 12 ships approached the Imperial outpost using stealth technology. The small Imperial facility was protected by only 3 warships, as the Empire had never expected humans to venture beyond Mars. "All vessels, weapons hot," Morgan ordered. "Remember, we need their systems intact." The Earth vessels struck simultaneously. 2 Imperial ships were destroyed before they could react, while the third surrendered after sustaining heavy damage. The communications hub itself was secured within minutes, its Imperial technicians captured. "Begin the data download," Morgan ordered as her technical team invaded the facility's systems, "and prepare the package for transmission." The package was a carefully crafted message to be sent throughout the Empire. It showed Earth's successful defense, explained the injustice of Imperial conquest, and called for other worlds to assert their independence. "Message ready, Admiral," reported Communications Officer Greg Parker. Morgan took a deep breath. "Send it." Across thousands of Imperial worlds, communication systems suddenly broadcast Earth's message of defiance. Imperial sensors scrambled to block it, but the damage was done. The seeds of rebellion had been planted. In the Imperial Senate on the Throne World, the Earth question dominated debate. Senator Krax from the Orion sector addressed the chamber. "This human resistance cannot be tolerated. They make the Empire appear weak." Senator Vela of the Pleiades sector disagreed. "Perhaps we should consider diplomatic solutions. These humans have technology we did not anticipate." Emperor Zorax VI watched the debate with growing rage. He summoned his war council afterward. "The Earth situation has become unacceptable," he declared. "If their barrier technology spreads to other worlds, the Empire itself could fracture." Grand Admiral Krull bowed. "What are your orders, Eminence?" "Deploy the planet killers," the Emperor commanded. "Earth must be destroyed completely, as a warning to any who would follow their example." Back on Earth, Foster returned with representatives from 3 alien civilizations. The United Earth Council chamber buzzed with excitement as the first formal alliance between Earth and other worlds took shape. Together, Foster told the Council, we stand a real chance against the Empire. None of them yet knew that the Empire had already dispatched its most terrible weapons. Commander Peter Daniels watched from the bridge of his ship as the Imperial planet killers arrived. These massive weapons platforms had appeared suddenly at the edge of Mars' orbit, somehow bypassing the outer detection systems. Each resembled a metallic spider with a glowing red core. All ships, defensive formation Delta, Daniels ordered. Do not engage directly. Remember your training. Earth's defense fleet was outnumbered and outgunned, but they had prepared for this moment. Rather than face the Imperial forces head-on, they employed guerrilla tactics, striking quickly before retreating behind asteroids and moons. On the lead Imperial weapon platform, General Zex watched with growing frustration. These humans are cowards. They refuse proper combat. His tactical officer disagreed. Not cowardice, General. Strategy. They're drawing us into a dispersed formation. Zex dismissed the concern. It matters not. Begin charging the main weapons. The 5 planet killers began to glow ominously, their cores pulsing with energy. Each was capable of fracturing a planet's crust, making the surface uninhabitable. On Earth, emergency sirens wailed as populations rushed to underground shelters. In her laboratory, Olivia Martinez worked frantically with her team. The barrier wasn't designed to stop energy weapons of this magnitude, she explained to President Ortiz over the emergency channel. But we've developed something new. Martinez had discovered that the same properties that made the barrier effective could be reversed. Instead of blocking energy, they could redirect it. We'll need to drop sections of the barrier precisely when they fire, she explained. Then use our satellites to create an energy mirror. Will it work? The president asked. Martinez wiped sweat from her brow. In theory, we've never tested it at this scale. Above Earth, the planet killers moved into final position. General Zex gave the order. Fire. 5 devastating energy beams shot toward Earth simultaneously, each targeting a different continent. At Martinez's command, sections of Earth's barrier dropped for microseconds, allowing the beams to pass through specific points. The modified satellites activated instantly, creating localized energy fields that caught the beams and bent them back toward their sources. Not perfectly, some energy leaked through, causing earthquakes and tsunamis in targeted regions, but enough to redirect the majority of the attack. 3 of the 5 planet killers were destroyed by their own reflected energy. The other 2 suffered severe damage. General Zex stared in disbelief as his command platform shuddered from the impact. Impossible. They reversed our weapons. On Earth, millions watched in awe as the sky lit up with the explosive destruction of the Imperial weapons. But the victory came at a cost. Coastal cities faced massive flooding, and several regions reported severe seismic activity. In Washington, D.C., partially damaged by tremors, the United Earth Council received casualty reports. Current estimates show approximately 3 million dead or missing, reported Defense Minister Alan Garcia, his voice hollow. Infrastructure damage is severe across all continents. President Ortiz closed her eyes briefly in silent mourning. But we survived, and we destroyed most of their planet killers. Admiral Morgan's voice came through on the emergency channel. Madam President, we're receiving a new transmission from Imperial space. It's the Emperor himself. On screens worldwide, the face of Emperor Zorax VI appeared, his cybernetically enhanced features twisted in cold fury. Humans of Earth, he began, his voice eerily calm. You have defied Imperial rule. You have destroyed Imperial property. You have interfered with Imperial communications. The Emperor leaned closer to the camera. These acts cannot stand. I now take personal command of your subjugation. The Empire has conquered 12,000 worlds. Earth will be 12,001. Martinez rushed into the council chamber, data tablet in hand. "Madam President, our sensors detect a massive Imperial force gathering. Hundreds of ships, much larger than the previous fleet. How long do we have?" Ortiz asked. 3 days, maybe 4. Admiral Morgan straightened her uniform. "Then we have work to do. Commander Daniel's fleet needs reinforcement." As the meeting adjourned, Martinez pulled the admiral aside. "The barrier and redirection technology won't work twice. They'll adapt their weapons." Morgan nodded grimly. "Then we need a new strategy. And quickly." Outside, despite the devastation, citizens began rebuilding. Earth had bloodied the Empire's nose twice now. They were determined to do it again. Captain Susan Miller stood on the bridge of the Earth vessel Defiance, looking at the remarkable sight before her. Alongside her human crew worked members of 3 alien species: Centaurians, Rigelians, and Tausicians. The joint fleet, 27 ships strong, moved through the darkness of space toward the Imperial Communications Hub in the Arcturus system. "Status report," Miller ordered. Her Rigelian tactical officer, Kraz, answered immediately. "Imperial defenses remain unaware of our approach. Their security codes provided by the Resistance are working perfectly." This mission represented something unprecedented: the first joint military operation between Earth and alien allies. Their target was the central communications hub that connected 7 star systems, all of which had secretly declared independence following Earth's example. "The rebellion spreads faster than we anticipated," Natalie Foster had told the United Earth Council just days earlier. 7 complete systems have formally rejected Imperial rule. 4 more are on the verge of declaring independence. The Emperor's decision to personally lead the attack on Earth had backfired spectacularly. By concentrating Imperial forces on one target, he had left dozens of discontented worlds with reduced Imperial presence. "Begin jamming on my mark," Miller instructed as they approached the Arcturus hub. "Remember, we need control of the facility intact." The operation proceeded flawlessly. The small Imperial garrison, caught completely by surprise, surrendered after minimal resistance. Within hours, the hub was under Alliance control, its powerful transmitters ready to serve a new purpose. "Send the declaration," Miller ordered. Across 7 star systems, the formal announcement was broadcast simultaneously. The Free Worlds Alliance was now officially formed, with Earth and 23 other planets declaring permanent independence from Imperial rule. Emperor Zorax VI received the news while his armada was still 2 days from Earth. His rage was so intense that 2 cybernetic implants overloaded and had to be replaced. This rebellion must be crushed immediately. He roared to his war council. "Divert half the fleet to these traitor worlds." Grand Admiral Krell looked alarmed. "Majesty, dividing our forces might not be wise. The humans have proven." "Are you questioning Imperial judgment?" The Emperor interrupted, his voice dangerously quiet. Krell bowed deeply. "Never, Majesty. I will issue the orders immediately." As Imperial forces split to address multiple rebellions, Earth gained precious time to strengthen its defenses. But the respite came with new dangers. On Earth, William Hayes narrowly escaped assassination when his diplomatic shuttle exploded moments after he disembarked. In Geneva, a supposed maintenance worker was caught placing explosive devices in the United Earth Council chamber. On Mars, recently reoccupied after the barrier was adjusted, 3 Imperial loyalists were captured attempting to sabotage the atmosphere generators. Imperial intelligence has infiltrators everywhere. Security Chief Allison Reed warned the Council. They're targeting key leadership. Admiral Morgan increased security around critical installations and personnel. The Emperor grows desperate. These attacks show he fears what we've started. The most significant development came from an unexpected source. A small Imperial vessel approached Earth under a flag of truce, carrying Senator Vela of the Pleiades and 4 other members of the Imperial Senate. "We come seeking dialogue," the senator told a cautious Earth delegation. "Many in the Senate believe this conflict has gone too far. The Emperor's obsession with Earth has destabilized the entire empire. Hayes, now recovered from his near assassination, led the Earth negotiating team. What exactly are you proposing, Senator? A faction within the Senate is prepared to challenge the Emperor's authority, Vila explained. But we need guarantees that the Free Worlds Alliance seeks reform, not the Empire's destruction. The negotiations continued for days while Imperial forces regrouped. Emperor Zorax, upon learning of the Senator's treason, ordered immediate attacks on their homeworlds as punishment. This proved to be his fatal mistake. Worlds previously loyal to the Empire watched in horror as Imperial forces attacked civilian targets on Pleiades worlds. Overnight, the rebellion doubled in size. Captain Miller received the news while her joint fleet protected the Regelian home system. 10 more systems have declared for the Alliance, her communications officer reported. The Empire is fracturing. Miller allowed herself a small smile. Send word to Earth. Tell them the tide has turned. The final confrontation was approaching, but no longer would Earth face the Empire alone. The Imperial flagship Dominion loomed over the neutral meeting ground, a space station orbiting the gas giant Saturn. Emperor Zorax VI had finally agreed to peace talks, though not out of mercy or compromise. His once mighty empire had lost over 300 worlds to the growing rebellion in just 2 months. William Hayes adjusted his formal diplomatic uniform as he prepared to board the station. After everything Earth had endured, he had been chosen once again to represent humanity in this historic moment. Remember, Admiral Morgan told him, we negotiate from strength, not desperation. Half the Imperial fleet has already defected. Hayes nodded. We want peace, but not at any cost. The meeting chamber on the station had been designed to intimidate. Imperial symbols covered the walls, and the Emperor's massive chair sat on a raised platform. Zorax VI himself was an imposing figure, his cybernetically enhanced body twice the size of a normal human, surrounded by royal guards. You have caused unprecedented damage to the Imperial Order, the Emperor began without preamble. Thousands of years of stability destroyed in months. Hayes remained calm. Your empire was stable only for those who ruled it, not for those who lived under that rule. Beside Hayes stood representatives from 30 formerly Imperial worlds, Centaurians, Regelians, and many others. Their very presence in this chamber would have been unthinkable before Earth's defiance. The Empire offers terms, Zorax continued. Earth and its immediate allies may retain independence as a special autonomous zone. All other worlds will return to Imperial control with improved conditions. The alien delegate stirred angrily at this proposal. Hayes shook his head. That's not why we're here, he replied. The old empire is finished. Too many worlds have tasted freedom to return to subjugation. For hours, the negotiations continued. Imperial diplomats insisted on maintaining central control, while the Alliance demanded a complete restructuring of galactic governance. As the talks stalled, Hayes called for a brief recess. In a private chamber, he conferred with Natalie Foster, who had just arrived with critical information. The Imperial Senate has voted to remove Zorax, she whispered. 2/3 of the remaining Imperial worlds support a new galactic structure. The Emperor doesn't know yet. Hayes nodded. Then it's time to present our final proposal. When the negotiations resumed, Hayes placed a data crystal on the central table. It projected a holographic model of a new galactic organization. We propose the formation of the Galactic Confederation, he announced. Equal representation for all worlds, central coordination but local autonomy, and mutual defense against external threats. Absurd, Zorax thundered. The Empire has stood for 5,000 years. A new voice spoke from the entrance, and perhaps it has stood long enough, Majesty. Grand Admiral Krell entered, flanked by Imperial senators and military officers. The Senate has spoken. Your authority is suspended pending reorganization. The Emperor's rage was terrifying to behold. His cybernetic implants glowed red with fury, and his guards raised weapons. For a moment, Catastrophic violence seemed inevitable. Then something unexpected happened. A small device on Hayes' wrist activated, projecting an image throughout the chamber. It showed people from dozens of worlds. Humans, Centaurians, Rigelians, and even Imperial citizens, gathered in peaceful demonstrations, calling for an end to the conflict. "This is happening on over 5,000 worlds right now," Hayes said quietly. "The people have decided, Emperor. Not you, not me, not governments. The people." 3 tense days later, representatives from over 800 worlds gathered on Earth, once forbidden to Imperial citizens, to sign the Galactic Confederation Charter. The Emperor, stripped of power but permitted to retain his title as a cultural symbol, watched from a corner, his once mighty presence diminished. Olivia Martinez, whose barrier technology had saved Earth, stood beside Admiral Morgan as the charter was signed. "I never imagined our work would lead to this," she said, watching species from across the galaxy mingling freely. Morgan smiled. "Earth wasn't the most advanced world, or the strongest, but we were stubborn enough to say no when everyone else had said yes for thousands of years." As William Hayes signed the charter on behalf of Earth, the assembled delegates erupted in applause. Earth's name would forever be remembered not as the planet that banned an empire, but as the world that freed a galaxy.